Okay folks, let's talk about FM support in smsggdj. Now, back in the day, the Sega Master System, when it came out in Japan, was shipped with an FM chip alongside its PSG. Now in the West, in Australia for example, we did not get that FM unit. So we often associate, at least in the West, the sound of the classic PSG, so the SN76489 with its square waves, we associate that sound with the Sega Master System. But in Japan, they also, alongside of the SN chip, they also had the YM2413 chip. Now, this was kind of an interesting FM chip. It features only 2 operators per voice, 1 modulator, 1 carrier, and a set of presets for the chip and some custom voicing and things like that. So there's quite a bit of support for these features within smsggdj. Let's have a look at it. Now I should note that some emulators will only let you use either the FM sound or the PSG sound, but not both at the same time. And that's why the first thing we want to do is to go up to our options and just to turn FM on. Now if you find that when you turn FM on and you're not getting any SN76489 square waves happening anymore, that means that your emulator is blocking one for the other. So we'll have this on. In this case, I'm using SMS Plus to emulate. And so this is by Richard Bannister, kind of a classic Sega Master System emulator for Mac. And this supports both sound chips at the same time. Now, I didn't want the FM side of things to take up a lot of extra resources for song saving and things like that. So that we've only still got four tracks in the tracker, but we can mix and match our different instrument types, including FM, across any of these. Now, the idea is that we can play up to 4 pitched sounds that are FM based simultaneously, so we can make chords and things like that. Each track or each instrument would be able to have its own FM preset, and we can also use our FM drums. So I feel like that's a nice compromise without having to create additional tracks that we can make use of the FM sound. Let's have a look at how we can set up our FM instruments. So I'm going to create a new chain, a new phrase, and let's add some notes to that phrase. Okay, cool. So I've got this on instrument 0. What we can do is, instead of having this as a tone instrument, we should be able to put this onto FM. And we can set the volume. Volume is just from 0 to F or 1 to F. Hold is whatever the value here is double the amount in ticks, is how long it's been held for. F will hold it indefinitely. And so a lot of the FM sounds, they won't necessarily have a decay rate that stops. It'll just keep going. So that's why it's useful to be able to have an end time. You can also use the K command to stop our FM notes from playing. We can have transposition. Now, our FM instruments do support tables and table speed as well, so we can incorporate that if we want to. And down here, we can choose our FM sound. So we've got program, which is kind of like the pre-programmed instruments that come with the YM2413, and we've got presets, which are custom settings that are baked into the ROM. And I'll also go through how we can edit those settings as well. So let's have a listen to all of the sort of programmed presets first. So these are the ones that come with the instrument, with the sound chip, and there's 15 instruments in total. Let's have a listen. that's the preset instruments. Let's have a listen to the ones that are baked into the ROM. So these are custom instruments. We can change the sound of these, but we can't change the sound during runtime. And partially it's, again, to save on RAM, it's to save on sort of screen real estate, it's to save on song data. The fact that our custom instruments, we can only load up one of these across all of our shared FM instruments. So it kind of limits a little bit the use, but still we can get some interesting sounds here. So I've just got some basic presets for us to listen to. So there's 8 of these custom ones, and in a moment we'll go through how to edit them. Now before we do, let's just jump back to here and we'll add in some FM drums. So we'll have a new chain with a new phrase, and it's sort of like the sample-based drums in the sense that we're going to wrap around 5 different sounds. So we've got bass drum, snare, a tom percussive sort of sound, an open hi-hat and a closed hi-hat. And the lowest pitch is going to be the kick drum, and it's going to wrap around those 5 sounds. Going to have it set to a new instrument so that we can choose FM drums. Again, we can have a hold parameter, but it's less important with our drums because the drums will decay out, but it could still be useful. And we've got a volume setting as well. I find that the drums tend to be a little bit quiet, as is often the case with chiptune stuff. Unless we're very deliberate about our volumes for our other instruments, the drums tend to be a bit quiet. So we'll have them on full volume. Let's have a listen. So that's the kick. What's kind of interesting about this kick is that different emulators definitely make this kit sound differently. And it sounds different on the hardware as well. So kick, snare, tom percussive sort of sound, open hi-hat, and closed hi-hat, and that's it. But kind of nice to mix up these drum sounds with noise channel work or sample channel work to kind of get a bit of a different feel with what we're doing. And I'll just make like a real basic. Cool. So what about editing those custom FM sounds? Well, let's have a look. What we can do is take our smsggdj ROM and we can bring it into this browser tool. And inside of this browser tool, we can see all of the settings for the 8 custom presets. And so these are just stored as a continuous block of memory inside of the ROM. And so we can kind of change our settings. Let's take maybe the second instrument. You can hear that we can audition our sounds as we're making them. And this audition process doesn't need an internet connection to work. It's just emulating the YM2413. It might not be a perfect emulation, but it's close enough to give us the idea of what the sound is going to sound like. And we'll be able to compare it afterwards. What can we call this one? We'll just call this one decay. And we pretty much have mul, so multiple, we've got attack rate, decay rate, sustain level, release rate. Then we've got the key sustain level, total level. We don't have a total level for the carrier because the total level is coming from the instrument volume. And we've also got some different options down here as well. And we can have some feedback. All right, so let's say we're happy with our settings. Obviously, we can repeat this process for all of these if we want to. But what we can do is download that as a patched ROM, reload the emulator, and what it should do of course, I've got to turn on my FM. So that's what it sounds like in the emulator. I'll just so they're both playing the same pitch. Pretty good of an emulation, isn't it? So it's a nice way to kind of preview our instruments before we patch the ROM, and then we can go ahead and use those. So that's the basics in terms of how to use FM. As I said, tables work as well. One other thing that works that's quite useful is if I set this back to off, I've got my 15 different instruments here. And we can use Command Y to set the FM preset from one of those 16. And that way we can kind of have continuity of instrument and volume, but then a change of sound. But overall, that's how we can use the FM instruments